Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir, your digital classroom. The first examination on the 27th of February for students of ICSE Class 10 is that of English language and grammar. And suddenly in the last 24 to 48 hours, there has been an explosion of comments and mails on asking different doubts relating to different aspects of the examination paper. So I thought it was pretty tiring to actually reply to each and every comment, most of them asking pretty much the same question. So I thought I'll put out aspect by aspect different doubts, addressing many of the doubts relating to essays, letter writing, notice and email. We've already done several exercises relating to grammar, so that's kind of taken care of. I thought let me start with the essays and try to address many of the doubts, so that once this is taken care of, I would assume that most of you would be pretty clear as far as the essays are concerned. We have in fact done two videos in the past which are very comprehensive. Okay, so if you had actually heard them very carefully, you should not have idly had this kind of harbored these kind of doubts. So please look at those two video lessons that I had put out. These are the thumbnails for that. So through the thumbnails, go to the English grammar and language playlist. You will definitely find them. First doubt is, many students ask which is more scoring, the descriptive essay, the original story form, the picture composition, the argumentative or the narrative. There are 5 options given to you. Let me tell you, there is nothing like that. You need to write well in order to be able to score a maximum marks out of the 20, right? Because if there was one kind which was more scoring, obviously everyone will try to write the same, right? So there is nothing like that. Aisa kuch nahi hai. So get that out of your mind. Each one of the 5 can be high scoring, can be low scoring. It depends entirely on how you write it. There are some students who tell, my teacher has said this. See, my humble request to you is that don't pit me against or vis-a-vis your teachers. Your teacher is your teacher. I am here only to help and supplement that. Okay. So don't say that, my teacher said this or my teacher doesn't know anything. What my teacher says only he or God can understand. I don't think that's a very desirable way for 15-year-olds to speak about their teachers. Okay. So I would request you to have utmost respect towards your teachers, towards your school teachers. They're also telling you in your best interest. I am also telling you in your best interest. No one wants any one of you to do badly in your exams, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is that there is no one particular format which is more high scoring. Write according to your personality type. We had talked about it in the previous video lesson also, that if you are the debating type, try to go for the argumentative type of essay. If you are good at description, you could go for either the picture composition or the descriptive essay. If you are a creative sort, you could go for the narrative or the original story form. So you have to, know best what kind of a person you are, and accordingly you should go for the kind of essay that you need to choose. So that is something which I would want you to keep in mind. The second common query is, how many paragraphs? Paragraphs, stop this obsession with pages, number of pages and number of paragraphs. The question says very clearly 350 words. So you need to stick to around 350 to 375, 380 words. That's a range that you need to stick to. Okay, 350 is a kam mat rakhiye, 350 to 375 would be an ideal range. Okay, now I had told this to you before and I'm repeating, 7 to 8 words per sentence, that works to about 1.5 to 2 pages with a normal kind of a handwriting, 2 pages. Okay, so that is something which you need to keep in mind. If your handwriting is a little small and if you are accommodating about 10 words in a sentence, assuming that it is tidy and neat, this examiner will keep that in mind. Okay, so nothing much to worry about that. Your word limit is to be kept in mind, not the number of paragraphs or the number of pages. Third, one student asked if the paragraph should start from the side or you leave some space. No, that's how a typical paragraph is meant to be. That is ideal. Many of you, and this is something which kind of I find very worrying, many of you ask questions about English grammar in Hindi, in the sense that you write your comments in Hindi. If at this stage, 2 days before the examination, you are not writing in English or not articulating yourself in English, you need to be worried about that. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. If you are not able to talk or write in English even 2 days before the English examination, how on earth are you going to write a full essay of 350 words immediately in English, or think in English and write in English? That is something which could hurt your marks, hurt your chances. So don't do that. Okay. Your essay, if it is full of grammatical mistakes, that's another thing which I find. A lot of grammatical mistakes in your comments. I would assume, okay, phone पे autocorrect में spelling mistake हो जाता है कभी कभी. I understand that. But grammatical mistakes तो नहीं होना चाहिए ना. So that is something which you need to keep in mind. Please be careful about all these small things. Because grammatical mistakes से आपके सीधे marks कटेंगे. Some students have said that they write abstract stuff or dark stories. Well, it may sound very interesting. I'm not taking that away from it at all. You may be very creative and you may be writing some very interesting stuff. All I would say is that if you're attempting the descriptive, original story or even the narrative type, write content which the examiner will understand and find interesting. If you write very abstract kind of stuff, examiner को समझ में भी तो आना चाहिए ना, and find it interesting enough to give you good marks. Okay, please remember one thing, you're not writing the essay for your own personal satisfaction. आप वो घर पे लिख सकते हैं, okay, or to enter a contest you can do that. But you are writing here in an examination to impress a third person, which is the examiner, okay, in order to get good marks. So keep that in mind. It is not for your personal satisfaction. Many students feel that I wrote a great essay, but will the examiner think the same is what you need to be worried about. Impress the examiner, that I had talked about in this previous video. Title of the essay. Again, very important. It has to be catchy. Just look at the titles of the stories that you had in your treasure trove. A horse and two goats. Immediately you'll think, horse and two goats? Ye kya kahani hai? It kind of makes you curious to know ki story kya hai. Or the blue bead, which is not really the main part of the story. End mein aata hai, shuru mein aata hai, end mein aata hai. The story is all about the crocodile and Sibia. But the author gave a title like the blue bead, which makes you curious ki why is this title. I'm not saying give a title which is totally unconnected, like a face in the dark. Brilliant title, you know, immediately it makes you curious, what is this face in the dark that is being spoken about. So think of the title which is most apt and also interesting, which kind of makes the examiner feel interested enough to read the story with a lot of interest. That is also very important. You are trying to impress the examiner. इस बात का आप जरूर ध्यान रखिएगा. Original story, जो पहला होता है, original story, we spoke about it in detail in that video. You cannot copy any story. Some students ask whether I can take it from a web series or a movie. But what happens if your examiner has seen the same web series on Netflix or Amazon? क्या कीजिएगा तब? तो ऐसा मत कीजिए. Try to be as original as possible. In the time that you have till the 27th of February morning, try to write as many essays as possible. Please practice them to the maximum extent possible. The more you write, the more better. You don't even have to get it checked by someone, but you can get it checked by, say, someone in your family itself, just to get a second opinion. You don't have to get it checked by a teacher, but just to get an idea that you are getting the formula right and get the flow of words smoothly. उस टाइम पे बैठ के लिखेंगे तो नहीं होगा. बहुत सालों बाद if you start riding a cycle, शुरू में डामाडोल हो जाता है. It's the same thing. The more you practice, the smoother will be your vehicle of thoughts. Okay. तो plagiarize तो बिल्कुल मत कीजिएगा. 6 aspects you need to keep in mind when you are writing the original story for students who are going to attempt the original story. That is the first option that you have. Original, creative, interesting, expression, how you express, which has to be like, you know, your vocabulary, your grammar, your spellings, everything forms part of the expression. The story form, the structure, you know, there has to be an opening, a middle and an ending. So the structure of the story is a story form. And of course, as I said, the ending is very important. Ending बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. आप सडनली खत्म नहीं कर सकते. अरे मेरे 350 वर्ड खत्म हो गए तो मैंने ऐसे ही खत्म कर दिया. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. You need to have this sixer in order to hit an IPL maximum. Okay, Indian पढ़ाई league. Okay, IPL नहीं. Second is the argumentative sort. I have said this before. If you argue for, you cannot put points about against. If you argue against, you have to stick to against, take a clear stand. आप ये नहीं लास्ट में लिख सकते हैं कि इसमें ये भी for भी हो सकता है. You cannot write that. ये या ये. Make a very clear distinction कि I am for or I am against. Okay, I am saying this for the umpteenth time. Be very clear. You cannot sit on the fence. ये भी और ये भी नहीं चलेगा. आपको तरकारी यहाँ से लेनी पड़ेगी या यहाँ से लेनी पड़ेगी. Okay. लेट्स जैसे लास्ट टाइम 2019 के पेपर में सीसीटीवी इन स्कूल्स का के बारे में टॉपिक था. सो यू कैनॉट टॉक व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट सीसीटीवीज इन स्कूल. यू कैनॉट सडनली digress and talk about CCTVs in airports, talking about airport security or railway station security or shopping mall security. You can't do that. Agar CCTV in schools is a subject, stick to that subject. That is very important. Okay. In narrative, read what is asked clearly. A lot of students make that mistake and write accordingly. Read the question very clearly. Keep what is being asked in the essay. In descriptive, good vocabulary is very important. So if you are attempting a descriptive type, ensure that your vocabulary is top class. You use synonyms. Don't repeat the same word again and again and again. Okay. Use of the 5 senses. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, everything. Picture, the picture composition, the link between the picture and what you write has to be established very clearly. Though the examiners are asked to take a wide interpretation, but a wide interpretation does not mean that you just describe what is there in the picture and put it in the essay. No, you need to interpret the photograph which has been shown and write a composition around it. Okay. Isme bhi the ending very, very important. The connection is the most important aspect between the photograph and the composition that you are writing. So between today, in the next few hours that you have till the examination, read a lot of stories, write a lot of essays. Please practice as much as possible. You may dislike A Horse and Two Goats, you may dislike The Blue Bead. A lot of students do, I know. But look at it that out of nothing, the two authors actually created this wonderful stories. R.K. Narayan created this wonderful story. Please read some Ruskin Bond stories. It will give you a lot of ideas. Ruskin Bond, R.K. Narayan created that place called Malgudi, creation, you know, it did not exist, but he created that town. People Nagar, created by Ruskin Bond. Just think of it and, you know, get inspired by those stories. I'm not saying usko plagiarize kijiye, but the more you read, say if you read about 4 Ruskin Bond stories now, a couple of Malgudi Days stories, you will get inspired. Okay, I can also work on a plot which is kind of similar. You know, you get motivated and inspired to read that kind of story. So do that over the next few few hours that you have till the examination. The more you write, you will be able to actually write a better essay. So these are my tips as far as essays and compositions are concerned. I hope it is clear. There would be no more doubts. And as I said earlier, do not say, my teacher has said this, you said this, what should we do? Feel free to follow your teacher. There is no problem. I have no egos in that matter. But no ego in that matter. But ensure that you don't go with think, you know, my teacher is wrong. Your teachers are generally not wrong. They have your best interests at heart. Okay. So all the best to you. Thank you very much for watching.